Consider the following formula. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? To solve this question, we're going to need to graph. And to do that, let's find a way to label our axes using t and s. Normally, our x-axis is our cause variable, and our y-axis is our effect variable. So if we take a look at our answer choices, we can see that S is always the cause that is affecting t. So that means we can label our axes. X is S, and Y is t. And now that we've labeled our axes, we can find our intercepts. But before we do that, let's try to simplify this expression so that we no longer have fractions, because that'll just make our lives easier. We can multiply everything in the function by the least common denominator, which is 5 times 3, or 15. Here, 5 can go into 15 3 times, so we'll be left over with 3t equals, here, 3 can go into 15 5 times, so we'll be left with 5s, and then here 3 times 15 will give us, that should be a 2. 2 times 15 will give us 30. So now that we have a new equation that's easier to work with, we can start to find our intercepts. Starting with our x-intercept, that's when y equals 0, or in this case, when t equals 0. So let's go ahead and plug that in. 3 times t, or 0, equals 5s plus 30. 3 times 0 just give us 0, equals 5s plus 30. Opposite operations, let's move 30 to the other side with subtraction. This will cancel, leaving us with negative 30 equals 5s. Then finally, 5 is being multiplied to s, so the opposite is to divide both sides by 5. Negative 30 divided by 5 will give us s equals negative 6, or the coordinate point, negative 6, 0. Then we need to do our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is when x is going to equal 0, or in this case, when s is going to equal 0. So let's go ahead and plug that in. 3t equals 5 times s, which is 0, plus 30. 5 times 0 would just give us 0, so that would leave us with 30 on the right-hand side. 3 is being multiplied to t, so the opposite operation is to divide both sides by 3, which will give us t equals 30 divided by 3 is 10, or the coordinate point 0, 10. Here I have plotted our two intercepts. We have negative 6, 0, so that means I went to the left by 6 and up 0, and then 0, 10, I went to the right 0 and up by 10. So now we can analyze this graph and use that information to find our correct answer. Let's focus in on our x-intercept. Everything that is greater than our x-intercept has a positive y value, and everything less than our x-intercept has a negative y value. So we can write that out in two statements. When s is less than negative 6, t is going to be negative. And on the other side, when s is greater than negative 6, t is going to be positive. Now let's look at our answer choices. A says when s is less than negative 3, t is positive. Well, where is negative 3? Negative 3 would be between 6 and negative 4 right here. And when it's less than, that would be right about here on the graph. That's everything to the left-hand side. Now, it is positive for this little stretch of space right here, so it's partially correct. However, once we cross s equals negative 6 and go into negative infinity, we have nothing but negative t values. So A is incorrect. B says when s is less than negative 6, right here on our intercept, t is positive. Well, less than is to the left, and all of these values that are less than negative 6 are all negative, not positive. So B is incorrect. C, if s is less than negative 3, which is again right about here, then t is negative. Again, that's only partially true, because this small stretch of space is positive t values, and then everything else has negative t values. So it's only partially correct, making it incorrect. D, if s is greater than negative 3, then t is positive. Well, negative 3 is right here, and everything to the right-hand side of this graph is all positive. So that makes D our correct answer.